Shabbat Shalom. Yedid Nefesh, the beloved of my soul. It's such a classic Shabbat prayer to begin Shabbat. It sort of asks the question, what love is pursuing us? What possibility? What small dream, maybe big dream? What tweak, what shift is in our sight? I'm a servant and I'm being drawn to God's service, to tending to God's world, to making this world a little bit of a better place. It's such an incredibly beautiful, simple, basic, and profound way to end a week and try to begin a week. So one of the ways we try to focus on what love, what passion, what possibility, what interest, what dream, what aspiration. One of the ways that we know how to do this is to celebrate birthdays. Birthdays are a time to bring light into our lives. And so before I ask Jordana, you to light the Shabbat candles in honor of your wonderful son Jacob's bar mitzvah, before I ask you to do that, Jordana, I just want to highlight, as it were, to call out the person who's celebrating the largest birthday probably of any of, there's a long list of people. It's wonderful how long our list of birthdays is this week. But Mel Sachs is celebrating his 100th birthday on this very day. I'm not sure if Mel or Ronnie or any of the grandkids are on the call, but we all love Mel and Ronnie and want to acknowledge them, whether they're here or not. After all, 100 is quite the wonderful achievement. When I saw Mel, me and Howard and Barbara and Rochelle a couple days ago, we got to remember a few special memories. Barbara's sister is a teacher, Melissa, and anyway, I also remembered when we were in Marissa. When we were in services together 7 years ago, I made a comment about, wow, we have people here from 8 to 80 years old, and Mel stood up and said, I'm 93. So it's a moment that certainly is very special for Mel and for me too. Okay, dear Jordana, I see you with your candles. If you'll lead us in lighting candles, and everyone else who's lighting candles at home, happy birthday to Jacob, and thank you.
Thank you. Hello. You see the dog has joined me.
Excellent.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kadishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Amen. Oh my gosh, she's so curious. She wants to light with you. She's a she, right? Am I wrong?
It's a he, no, it's a boy.
He wants to light with you. Okay.
Yes.
He wants to light with you. Right.
Thank you
so much. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
You are welcome, and thank you. We turn to page 95, Lachut Naranana, not page, Psalm 95, page 12. Lachut Naranana, page 12.
Lecho Naranana, Adonai, Maria Letzorishenu. Mafanav betoda bizmirot nari hallo. Page 13, Psalm 96. Shiru ladonai, shir chadash, shiru ladonai, lo haaretz, shiru ladonai. ברכו שמו, עשו מיום ליום ישועתו, ספרו בגויים כבודו, בכל העמים נפלאותיו, כי גדול אדוני, ומחולל מאוד, נורא הוא על כל אלוהים, איי, מכל אלוהי עמים אלילים, אדוני שמיים עשה, עוד והדר לפניו, עוז ותפארת במקדשו, ישמחו השמיים ותגל הארץ, ירם הים ומלואו, יעלו שרי וכל אשר בו, איי, אז ירננו אורת צייר לפני אדוני, כי בא לשפוט הארץ, לשפוט עבר בצדק, ועמים באמונתו, Adonai malach tegela aretz, yismechu yihim rabim. We're on page 14. Anan v'rafel sevival tzedek u'mishpat michon kiso. Ohavei Adonai sinaora, shomer navashot chasidav, miyad rishayim yasileh. Israel 16, in the middle of verse, I believe it's verse 5 of Psalm 98. Zamru Adonai Bechino, Bechino, Vekol Zimra. 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 Zamru Adonai Bechino, Bechino, Vekol Zimra.
Page 18, Psalm 29.
Lai 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 lai
Complete our Kabbalat Shabbat Psalms. L'chadodi, the final of the Kabbalat Shabbat Psalms.
L'chadodi, maybe in D minor. L'chadodi likerat kala, b'nei Shabbat b'kabela. L'chadodi likerat kala, פני שבת נקבלה. שמור וזכור בדיבור אחד, ישמענו אל המיוחד, אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, לשמו תפארת ולתהילה. לך דודי, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. Verse 2, לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה, כי היא מקור הברכה, מראש מקדם נסוכה, סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה. לך דודי, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. Now you should know that each week, sometimes we try some new melodies. Some weeks we try more new melodies than others, and for that I beg your forgiveness and my indulgence. But you should know that occasionally I'm actually watching you sing in gallery mode to see who knows which melody. So this is not so much me trying out new melodies, it's your tryout as well. So now we're on verse 5 at the top of page 21 as we continue to welcome the Sabbath Queen into our midst. התעוררי, התעוררי, כי באורך ומאורי, אורי, אורי, שיר דברי, כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה. לך דודי, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה.
Last paragraph of Lecha Dodi. If you'd like to rise and body or spirit, please feel free to do so as we welcome the Sabbath bride.
אוי ושלום עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצהלה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה. בואי חלה, בואי חלה. לך דודי, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה.
That was my mistake. I'm pretty sure. Anyway, forgive the reverb or whatever that was on your end. Lecha Dodi is this powerful piyut, this poem that speaks to both the joy, the purpose, the rejoicing of being with your ultimate commitments, but it also speaks to the valley of tears. The valley of tears. It speaks to the dust that sometimes we feel that we're laying in. It speaks to our shame and degradation. And so I want to connect that briefly before we move to Shalom Aleichem in Psalm 92 to point out that this Shabbat we begin the book of Leviticus, which describes the sacrifices of animals. Admittedly and obviously, sacrifices come with blood, with violence. Tomorrow morning at Torah study, I'm going to explore the subject of violence. How do we understand the laws that command violence to animals? How does that relate to violent human instincts? The horrific killing and murder in Atlanta is the reason I'm thinking about this subject, one of the reasons. I assume most of us are aware that a man went into an Atlanta massage parlor and murdered 8 people, 6 of whom were female Asians. This week, we welcomed in the month of Nisan, and Nisan means it's time to begin thinking about Passover, about slavery, about the Egypts and pharaohs that control our minds and actions. Sung Yun Choimero, I trust she'll forgive me for mispronouncing her name. She's the executive director of the National Asian Pacific American Women's Forum. It's an advocacy group. And Sung Yan said that when she first came to the United States to attend college in the year 2000, she was, quote, stunned, dumbfounded, and horrified by how often she was approached by male strangers who professed to love Korean women. The men ranged in age from the very young to the very old and seemed never to understand that their attention was anything but flattering. She said, I've experienced racism, I've experienced sexism, but I never experienced the two like that as I have when I came to the United States. There's so much slavery in the world. Where's Egypt? Egypt's in the minds of sexists. Egypt is in the attitudes of racists. Egypt is everywhere. The murder of 6 Asian women wasn't the murder of sexism and sex. This murder wasn't the murder of racism, it was both. Pharaoh enslaves in so many different ways. We as a society have so much work to do. Sexist and racist in so many nooks and crannies, like the chametz in our homes. Every one of us has a part of this battle. Pharaoh's everywhere. The exodus from Egypt was there and here. The exodus from Egypt was then and now. We turn now to Psalm 92 on page 22.
מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון, להגיד בבוקר חסדך, אמונתך בלילות, עלי עשור
Shalom Aleichem.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon. Mihi Melech, Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Moachem Leshalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mihi Melech, Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruchuni Leshalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mihi Melech, Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Seitechem Leshalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mihi Melech, Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
If you'd like to rise for the Baruch Hu, feel free on page 28. Page 30, join me in Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who speaks the evening into being, skillfully opens the gates, and thoughtfully alters the time and changes the seasons, arranges the stars in their heavenly courses according to plan. You are creator of day and night, rolling light away from darkness and darkness from light, transforming day into night, and distinguishing one from the other. Adonai Tzebaot is your name, ever-living God. May you reign continually over us into eternity. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on evening.
Amari בימינו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kivon Malchuto Leolam Vaed. Please be seated if you're standing. 36.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, וייתן קדושים לאלוהיכם, אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים, אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם, אמן.
Let's turn to 37. Love your God with every heartbeat, with every breath, with every conscious act. Keep in mind the words I command you today. Teach them to your children. Talk about them at work, whether you're tired or you're rested. Let them guide the work of your hands. Keep them in the forefront of your vision. Do not leave them at the doorway of your house or outside your gate. They are reminders to do all my mitzvot, that you can be holy for God. I am Adonai your God. I led you out of Egypt to become your God. I am Adonai your God. Micha Mocha on page 40.
You work wonders without number, marvels beyond count. You give us life and steady our footsteps. You performed miracles before Pharaoh, signs and wonders in the lands of the Egyptians. You led your people Israel from their midst to freedom for all time. When your children witness your wonders, they praise your name in gratitude. They accept your sovereignty. Moses and Miriam and all of Israel sang to you together, lifting their voices with joy. Micha mocha, Elohim Adonai. Micha mocha, Nedar b'kodesh, Shora tehilo, Oseh sefer lev, Nora tehilo. חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני,
Baruch Shemo.
גאל ישראל.
Page 42, Ashkivenu.
השכיבנו אדוני, אלוהינו לשלום, לשלום. 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 Stand us up, Adonai. You'll spread your wings over us all. Give us peace and keep us safe. Leshalom, leshalom, leshalom. Ashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom, leshalom. Ashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom, leshalom. ופרוס עלינו שמחת שלומך, ופרוס עלינו שמחת שלומך, ופרוס עלינו שמחת שלומך, לשלום, לשלום, לשלום. השכיבנו אדוני, אלוהינו לשלום, לשלום. השכיבנו אדוני, אלוהינו לשלום, לשלום. ברוך אתה אדוני, הפורא סוכת שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל עמו ישראל ועל ירושלים.
And we turn to page 44 for Vishamru.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל עוד תחילי עולם, כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפל.
If you'd like to rise to the Amidah, page 46, please feel free to do so.
אדוני שפתי תפתח ופיי תהילתך. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah. Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor V'Yanora, Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Vekonei Hakol, Vezocher Chasdei Avot Ve'imahot, Mevi Geula Livnei Bneihem, Leman Shemo B'Yahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshia U'Magen, Baruch Atah Adonai, Magen Avraham Be'ezerat Sarah. Page 50. Ata Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechayei Hakol, Ata Rav Lehoshia, Mashiv HaRuach U'Morid HaGashem, Mechal Kel Chayim Bechesed, Mechayei Hakol Berachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim Verofech Olim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayim Emunato, Mishenei Afar, Michamocha Bal Geburot, Umidom Elach, Melech Meimit Umechayeh, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman Ata Lehachayot Hakol, Baruch Atah Adonai, Mechayei Hakol. Ata Kadosh V'Shimcha Kadosh, U'Kedoshim B'Chol Yom Yalalucha, Selah, Baruch Atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh.
Should we take a moment for our own personal and private prayer and come together? On page 62, it says Shalom in a moment.
Oh, say Shalom, Shalom Bimromav, oh, Yaseh Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael, Ve'imeru Amen. Oh, say Shalom, Shalom Bimromav, oh, Yaseh Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael, Ve'imeru Amen. Oh, Yaseh Shalom Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael. Amen. Amen. Oh, say Shalom, Shalom Bimromav, oh, Yaseh Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael, Ve'imeru Amen. Ve'al Kol Yisrael.
So with our prayer for peace on our thoughts, on our minds, on our lips, we offer our Misha Berach. Please feel free to put in the chat name of any loved one you're thinking about for this prayer for healing, Misha Berach, on page 253, 253.
Misha Berach Avotinu, Mekor HaBeracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to blessing, and let us say, Amen. Misheberach imotinu mekor habracha lavoteinu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shelema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. May they all have a speedy recovery, refuat nefesh, refuat aguf. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you for this beautiful prayer experience, dear Cantor Adam and Shai. Mitzrayim, the word, Hebrew word, means Egypt. In that word, Mitzrayim is the Hebrew word tsar, narrow place. Many of us know it or it sounds familiar. Egypt is the narrow place. That tsar, that narrow place, it's so small. It makes us feel small. You can't move in and out of it. The passageways are stuck. The leaves are hardened. Passover is next Saturday night. This is the holiday when we try to leave the tsar, the narrow place, the place of constriction. Egypt is a where and a when. Egypt is every place we go. It's wherever we feel unable to be our best selves. Egypt is every week or day or hour. It's whenever we make a choice that narrows who we are, that diminishes our vitality, reduces our energy. Freedom, on the other hand, is the opposite of Egypt. Freedom is when the blood flows smoothly, when it travels naturally from one limb to the next, one artery to the next. I'm thinking about Passover, Egypt, the narrow places, for obvious reasons, that begin next Saturday night. There's also a very personal reason. About 17 years ago, I was told about a makom tsar, a narrow place of my own. I learned back then that, like many people, I have a narrow place in my heart. One day, Mayor, you'll want to address that tsar makom, that narrow place. Stenosis is a term many of us know. A valve in my heart has narrowed a lot in the last 12 to 18 months. The flaps don't function so well. They're stuck largely in one place. When we're stuck in one place, we can't easily respond, repair, return. That's Egypt. This week is not only Passover for our people, but it's also for my heart valve. The narrowing valve, that's an Egypt. It's time for my blood to flow more easily, to be more free, more fluid. I'm so blessed. I am so fortunate. In about 4 weeks, I'll be back, and God willing, stronger and more energetic than in many years. Thankfully, Tara is returning home and will be with me for my surgery next week and for the weeks of recovery that follow. I know I'm mixing metaphors, but this is one thing we Jews do. Last Shabbat, we closed the book of Exodus. This Shabbat, we open the book of Leviticus. And this is what we find. Hold on. Can you see this? I hope you can see this. This is the first verse, first words from the book of Leviticus. Vayikra el Moshe, and God called to Moshe, to Moses. And I hope you see the very first word of the book of Leviticus. Many of us know this, but it'll be nice to think about it a little bit more. This beautiful, mysterious little letter here, the Aleph. Do you see it? This Aleph, it's so small. In every Torah scroll ever written, this Aleph is small. And we ask, why? But before we talk about why the Aleph is so small, I want to teach you about the Aleph itself, about the letter Aleph. So hold a second. I hope this works all right technically. I'm going to come in and out of the screen share several times. Here's an Aleph. Everybody see it? Hope you do. The Aleph is constructed with 3 letters. Here's one letter, here's another letter, and here's the third. Hope you can see it. What's the letter on top? It's a yud. What's the letter on the bottom? It's a yud. What's the letter in the middle? It's a vav. Well, we'll think about this. The yud, what's the yud on top represent? That represents God. We have a hard time understanding God, but this is the yud of God, and this is the yud of every Jew, maybe every human being. Okay, keep this Aleph in mind. We'll come back to it once more. The letter yud above and the letter yud below, and then there's the diagonal vav, a line suspended in between. As I said, the yud above represents what? God, who's above or beyond our comprehension. And in comparison to God's true essence, our understanding is just a little dot. And the yud below, as I said, that's the yud that represents every Jew, maybe every person. So what's that line, the vav in the middle, represent? And I'll come back to this question, to the vav in between the 2 yuds. But before that, I just want to think about the Aleph itself. I hope you have the letter, the image we just saw in your mind. And many of us know this. Our commentators teach that little Aleph at the end of the 4th letter of the first word of the book of Leviticus, that little Aleph, it's an Aleph about humility, to be humble. God called to Moses, Vayikra. God called to Moses. And we know that Moses is described as Ha'ish Me'od Anav, Me'od Ha'olam. Moses is the most humble person, more so than any other person on earth. God called to Moses. But Moses actually doesn't get it. Moses doesn't understand why God would actually call to him, why God would have a particular mission for him, for Moses. He's just so modest. So with an aleph at the end of the word of that first word, Vayikra, that means that Moses and God have a very, very close relationship. But if you leave that aleph off, and the word is just Vayikar, it means God spoke to Moses casually. Maybe God speaks to any of us casually. But Moses, in that moment of recording the Torah, is too humble to want to record for posterity that he and God had so close a relationship. Instead, Moses prefers that we think of, on occasion, God spoke to him like he did to everyone else. As Rabbi Avi Weiss teaches, and I know that there's at least one of you who have a great love and admiration, me included, for Rabbi Avi Weiss, Moses accepted God's command to include the aleph, but Moses wrote it so small because of Moses' humility. And on this theme of humility, there's another midrash that points out the humility of the letter Aleph itself. Aleph, actually, the letter, had good reason to feel disappointed, overlooked. The first letter of the alphabet had reason, legitimate reason to believe that she should also be the first letter of the Torah. Right? You get it? The first letter of the alphabet deserves to be the first letter of the Torah, but no. The letter Bet, not the letter Aleph, is the first letter of the Torah. Bereshit, in the beginning. Torah begins with the letter Bet. But because of the Aleph's humility, teaches the Midrash, although the Torah doesn't begin with an Aleph, the 10 Commandments do begin with an Aleph. Anochi, which starts with, guess what? An Aleph, just to show you that real quickly. Here we go. These are the 10 commandments. We can't, they're not in this room, but in the chapel we know them. Oh my gosh. My
Video's frozen.
Zoom went out. Oh, that's not good.
Keep talking.
Keep talking?
Yeah.
Okay.
They can hear you.
Oh, good. Okay, so you don't need to see me anyway. The first letter of the Aleph, Anochi. Anochi, the first letter of the 10 Commandments, is Aleph. So the Midrash recognizes that although the first letter of the alphabet is not an Aleph, the first letter of the 10 Commandments is. It points again to the humility of the letter Aleph. Rabbi Avi Weiss teaches another more mystical thought about the Aleph. Can they hear me? Yeah?
Yes, Rabbi, we can hear you.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to close my video and start up again. Forgive me, friends. All right.
Use mine.
Anyway, you don't need to see me, or we'll keep trying. Rabbi Weiss teaches another more mystical thought about the Aleph. Rabbi Avraham Yitzchak Kook, the first chief rabbi of Israel, he insists that our soul is made up of different Hebrew letters. We think that we're made up of blood and tissue and sinew and muscle, but there's more. Our very essence, our soul, consists of the Aleph, or maybe even other Hebrew letters. The Hebrew letters are actually the building blocks of the soul, teaches Rav Kook, and I think Rabbi Weiss as well. Do you know your letter? Do you know the letters that animate your soul, that help your blood flow with ease and comfort? Every time we perform a mitzvah, teaches Rabbi Weiss.
What am I doing?
Your Hebrew letters shine brightly every time we perform a good deed. To discover our Hebrew letter or letters is to come closer to the beauty and the joy of our souls. I want to share one final Hasidic story that I learned from Rabbi Weiss. Rabbi Shlomo Carlebach, he often told this story. It's the story of the Munkacher passport. Rabbi Carlebach's uncle asked the Munkacher Rebbe for a passport to travel from Munkacher, which is in Hungary, to Berlin. It's not working. This was just before World War II, and considering the climate of the times, the request seemed impossible to fulfill. After many hours, the Munkacher Rebbe emerged from his private chambers and gave him an empty piece of paper. Well, not totally empty. The paper was soaked with tears. With this passport, Rabbi Carlebach's uncle was escorted everywhere in Germany with great honor, with a passport that was empty other than having been soaked with tears. So what does this mean? What is this passport? And Rabbi Carlebach never explained really what the Munkacher passport meant throughout their lives. What he said, though, is that this passport gives us some kind of divine access. When we witness a sunrise or a sunset, when a bride walks around the groom, they give each other the Munkacher passport. When children are born, they give to and receive from their parents the Munkacher passport. When we stand near the Kotel, the Western Wall, to pray before God, we hold the Munkacher passport. It's empty, absolutely empty. When we go into surgery and come out of surgery, we hold the Munkacher passport. The hands of a surgeon, the hearts of a teacher, they deliver us to another realm, to a new kind of freedom. Shlomo Carlebach never explained what this Munkacher passport meant, but I love what it means to Avi Weiss. This passport, this empty page, the page that only has tears, that's the humility of Moses. This passport, the empty page with nothing but tears, it's the humility of the Aleph. The Munkatcher passport, the empty tear-soaked page, I think that's the Vav that connects the upper Yud and the lower Yud. What was that Vav? The letter Vav has a meaning. It means simply and. The letter Vav is what binds us to God. Soaked in and infused with humility, we, like Moses, can have glimpses of God. With its tears, the Munkatcher passport grants us access. One final thought. As we've learned, the letter Aleph is made of 3 letters. Hopefully you can remember the image I showed early on. It's a Yud at the top, a Yud at the bottom, and a Vav in the middle. The letter Yud is the number 10. 2 Yuds equal 20, and the Vav is 6. Together, these 3 letters equal 26. So we can build on Rabbi Weiss's teaching that it's all about love, infinite love. Guess the numeric value of the word love. It's 13. And therefore, the love of 2 people, 13 plus 13 equals 26. Like the Aleph. Love equals the letter Aleph. The letter of oneness contains the secret and the mystery of love. It's all in the Aleph. The upper Yud of the Aleph is God. The lower Yud of the Aleph is man, every Jew, every person. The Vav that connects us to God. But Aleph is not only the love of God in us. Aleph is also the love of 2 people. 13 plus 13, ahava plus ahava equals 26. That Vav, the connector, the Vav means and. It's the letter that binds us together. That's the Vav. As we begin this holiday of Passover, seek out your Aleph. Seek out your letter. Discover the letter. Discover the word of your soul. Believe me, that letter, that word can be your passport. That passport that welcomes you into your soul. Shabbat Shalom.
We continue with the words of Elenu on page 282, I'm sorry. Thank you, Rabbi, for that beautiful drash. Elenu. Elenu l'shabeach la'adon ha'kol, la'ti gedula le'yotze bereshit, shelo asanu kegoyei ha'aratzot, velo samanu kemishpechot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkeinu kahem, vegor aleinu kechol amonam, v'anachnu korim u'mishtachavim u'modim lifnei melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu v'ne'eman v'haya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz sayom hahu hayom hahu yihyeh Adonai echad u'shemo echad.
Okay. For some reason, my Zoom, maybe it's coming back. We, as always, remember loved ones before I'm stalling, hoping that my video now, my Zoom will return. But as always, remember loved ones. Please feel free to put the name of a loved one in the chat. And we remember it in our Beth-El community in the past 30 days, Theodore Ted Roston and Beatrice Schutzer. We also remember the Yortzeit for those beloved family members, the anniversary of their passing, Howard Cooper and Fred Feldman, Aline Helfer, Max Katz, Stuart Larrick and Rebecca Levine, Michael Nevins, Stanley Markowitz, Seymour Megeff, Jerome Michael Motion, Belle Nassau and Sidney Roth, Abraham Rosen and Anna Schwartz, Shirley Sherman and Annette Zitron. And if you are remembering a loved one whose name is not mentioned, please, as I said, send the name of your loved one into the chat. Mourner's Kaddish, if you'd like to rise, is on 294. Please feel free to do so.
Yikadal v'yikadash shemei Rabba, v'alma divrach irutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chaychon uvyomechon uv'chay dechol bet Yisrael, ba'agala uv'zman kariv v'imru, amen. Yehi shemei Rabba mevarach le'elam olamei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach, v'yitpar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitale v'yitalal shmei dekudesha brichu. Leila min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama Rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Ose shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen.
Okay, I really apologize for my technical problems. Here, I think you'll have the great pleasure and honor and joy of seeing my punim again in a moment. Here we go. Wonderful, Mayor. Okay, that was a first. My Zoom quit and then just wouldn't even relaunch. But anyway, forgive me all. I'm sorry for that. Okay. We have some announcements. First of all, again, happy birthday to our dear beloved Mel Sachs. 100 years. It's quite an extraordinary accomplishment. We joked yesterday about may you make it to 120. A bunch of other announcements. Thank you to dear Linda Diamond for hosting the virtual Oneg right after Stay On Friends, and just join in some nice friendship and fellowship and okay. In addition, so next Passover begins on Saturday night, obviously. Next Friday night, of course, Shabbat, same time, same place. Cantor Adam will be here alone, so support him beautifully. Tara and I, we will be, I'll be lying on my back, but I will be done with surgery, God willing, and on my way to good health. Let's see. Tomorrow morning, of course, Torah study. I'll be leading Torah study. This Sunday at 10 a.m., we're going to be able to meet again our ancient Sephardic North African Torah with our Soferet Linda Koppelson. That's at 10 in the morning. See the email for the Zoom link for those of us who were present for the special Shabbat last week with Mati Friedman and the Aleppo Codex. We actually got to meet Linda, and actually 2 nights before that, she participated in our book discussion led so beautifully by motion. So that's this Sunday morning.
And we should mention that, of course, this is part of the Torah Celebration Project that you all received an email about. Very exciting stuff. And I highly encourage you to see the Torah and meet the Torah. Very, 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 very cool stuff.
It's
And-
really
I'm sorry, I was just going to say the rabbi's beautiful words about finding the letter that is part of you, finding that word that is part of you. I know we'll be hearing those words again repeatedly, because that is going to be part of our Torah Celebration Project, finding our word, discovering your devar, peeking into your parsha.
Yes, and if you want to, a beautiful thing to do is actually just study, spend a little time. When I say study, I mean just reflect, take it in. Look for a moment. I'm going to share actually the link to this Aleph, because I just love the image. And I don't know, it's not a coincidence that I spent some time for us, nudging us, trying to inspire us to fall in love with the Hebrew letter. Here's a link to this Aleph. Okay. Friday, March 26th, there's at 11 a.m., a meeting by the Religious Action Center of New York, meeting criminal justice. Next Sunday night, second night, virtual Passover Seder. Feel free to log in. I mean, I think we have to register. Sign up and register. Our wonderful Cantor Adam will be inspiring us as he leads that second night Seder. And actually, I want to highlight, selfishly but not, next Friday night, no, two Friday nights from now, a very dear friend, Rabbi Michael Lisac, who is in the San Francisco area. He is probably as far as I know, the only rabbi in the country. He was a rabbi for a very large synagogue in Marin Valley. Marin, is that what it's called? My brain is...
Marin County?
County, yep. But he is a rabbi at Glide, this really extraordinary historic church in San Francisco. He's actually going to be speaking to us in two Friday nights about the social justice work that he does at Glide, which Glide, he brings together both the folks at the church at Glide and also the members of the Jewish community founded by his wife, Rabbi Noah Kushner, which is called The Kitchen. So you all will get to meet Rabbi Michael Lisac, a very, very dear friend, and yes, family, virtual, like a little brother, really, although he's my teacher. Okay. Cantor, what else have I left out? In two Friday nights will be our next Modim Moments. Send your slideshows, your pictures or videos of family members getting the COVID vaccine. Send those vaccine photos or any of the photographs in by March 31st. And dear Jackie Wadsworth, thank you for your tech gabbying tonight, and you're helping us with virtually everything and related to our next Modim Moments, the slideshow that we'll present on that evening. So there's lots other stuff going on, but I think that's enough for now. So we can turn now to our Kiddush and Motzi and ask dear Kathy and Billy Oken to lead us in Kiddush and Motzi. Before you do, Kathy and Billy, I just want to mention that the wonderful, really uplifting presentation last night that Billy, your big brother, Tommy made for all of his amazing art, his artistry, and the deep learning that he brought to that. Escapism, keep the connection, it's only temporary. I loved, I don't know, Tommy, are you there? Oh,
Yep,
there you are.
there
All
he is.
right. I didn't get to be there for long, Tommy, but I loved what you did, and I really would love to get to learn the pieces that I did not get to stay for. So congrats to all of you, particularly you, Tommy, and happy birthday to both Kathy and Billy, whose birthdays were on the 16th and the 17th, just a few days ago. All right, great. Hello, Oaken family. It's great to see you.
Hello. Hi.
Hello. All right, why don't we raise our Kiddush cup? Cantor will start the blessing, and you guys can bring us home with Parei Parei Agafen. Cantor.
ויהי ויבוגר יום השישי, ויחולו השמיים והארץ וכל צבאם, ויכל אלוהים ביום השביעי מלאכתו אשר עשה, וישפוט ביום השביעי מכל מלאכתו אשר עשה, ויברך אלוהים את יום השביעי ויקדש אותו, כי בו שבת מכל מלאכתו אשר ברא אלוהים לעשות. Saveri, take it away.
Doug, you're up. Take it away.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei pirei hagafen. Amen.
Amen. Take a drink. You're all old enough.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם.
I think just
יקרא במצוותיו ורצבנו, ושבת קודשו באהבה ורצון הנחילנו, זיכרון למעשה בראשית, כי הוא יום תחילה למקראי קודש, זכר ליציאת מצרים. כי בנו בחרת ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים, ושבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת.
Amen. Great. Okay, Okins, take you have a challah for motzi or some, for motzi, you ready?
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen.
Amen. Wait, Billy, how old are you?
I'm 15 now.
15, amazing. Okay, you're catching up to your brothers.
soon.
All right, thank you guys. Happy birthday, Billy, to you and to Kathy. We'll look forward to birthday blessings for the rest of you soon. All right, Cantor Adam, we close with
Adon Olam on page 321.
321.
Adon Olam Asher Malach b'terem kol Yetzir nivra, Yed nasa b'chol efzo b'kol, Asai melech shemo nikra, V'yacharei kiflot ha'kol, Levado yimloch nora, V'hu haya v'hu hoveh, V'hu yihyeh b'tifara, V'hu echad be'en sheini, L'chamshil lo le'achbira, V'li reishit v'li tachlit, V'lo ha'oz ve'am Yisrael, V'hu eli v'chai go'ali, V'tzor chelvli ve'etzora, V'hu nisi u'manos li, V'mat kosi ve'yom ekera, Ve'yado avkidruchi, Ve'eti sham ve'ayira, Ve'imruchi geviati, Adonai li ve'lo yira.
Shabbat shalom all.
Shabbat
Stay healthy and
shalom
stay well.
לכולם.
Shabbat shalom.
Mute.
But they were.
Hi.
Hey.
Hi.
Shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom. Hello.
Shabbat shalom.
There we go.
Now I can hear everybody.
Hi, Elaine. Shabbat shalom.
Hello.
Rosalie.
Hi, Elaine. How are you feeling?
Oh, much better, thanks. What an experience. Wow.
What happened? What? Oh, you mean way back when you had